we go again. It's year 2020. It's June 12th. I'm going to give you an update of the whole bonsai collection. Last year we did the thing in the fall, so now you'll see it in the mid-spring to summer. All right, come on, let's take a look. We'll start off with this Sookie Azalea. You can see it's in bloom. It's got many stages. The flowers keep coming out. This is a nice size, very old, probably 50-year-old Sookie. You can see the fruits on this, the ramification on the tree. It's got nice foliage this year. It's really coming out nice. This still has to be built up. As I mentioned in the previous video, this tree was damaged in shipping. One of the branches broke off on that. Yeah, this was imported from Japan about 5 some odd years ago. This is a black pine that I've had for probably over 20 some odd years. As I mentioned previously, that this thing sustained a lot of damage from my constant traveling from my job, but now it's starting to come back. We wired it. We're starting to get double and triple buds by pinching off the candles so it could increase the ramification and start working this thing to get some bud back into this area. It's starting to come along. We repotted from last year. As you see, exposed the roots. It's got a fantastic root base. The watering system was just on, so you'll see different colors as this thing's starting to dry up. But she's coming along good. This is a white pine. She's just starting to have the candles starting to open up. A lot of candles came out this year, a lot of flowers. I pinched off all the flowers, which you should be done, is that because it robs the energy from the tree. But she's really filling out nice. So in about 2-3 weeks, these will be all open up, and I'm starting to grow it out so I could do some of the final wiring to bring this whole crown in. But if you've seen earlier videos, I broke out different layers in these clouds. This was part of this cloud over here. I brought it out, the pad. Over here I dropped this one down, separated some other ones. It's starting to take some nice shape. It's a good, nice, healthy tree. Here's a very old black pine, this guy here. Fantastic health. Let me spin this around so you can see how nice and dense this tree is. He is very old. So you see, look at the bari on this. This is a very huge tree. It's like a cannon. And great ramification. It's got really nice wiring, fine detail wiring on it. Very special pot where you see it's all eaten up. Yeah, that's one of my favorite trees. All right, let's go to the next one. Just like the other one, this is the typical Japanese pine with the swaying S-curve. Nice, beautiful nabari on this, just like a hand clutching onto the soil. It's all finely detailed wiring. Another tree that's in fantastic shape. The needles are nice and short for black pine. I'll give this a little spin around too. You can see all the new growth. I will soon, shortly, cut these candles down in areas just to balance out the strength. One's a little too long, a little bit too dense. But this is really another special tree. This tree's probably a good 60, 70 years old. Okay, we got one more, another black pine over here. This one here, I did the cutting the candles back. We're starting to get new candle growth now. This has got insane nabari. It fills the pot. This tree also was just recently repotted this year, but this thing is really an old tree. I'd say this tree's easy 80, 90 years old. But a really nice specimen. It shows well in person. Like a lot of the things with videos, things look a lot better in person than they're gonna look at in the video. We'll start at that end again on the other side. This is a tree I worked on almost, God, it's going on to at least well over a year ago with Beyond Home. This has 2 apexes. This is another import from Japan. It's a cork bark pine. I just did some reduced some candles, so now I'm waiting for the second flush to come out. But I left all the ones that are really small in size. It's got beautiful nabari on here. I love the 2 apexes. Here's the apex, that small apex, this one here. The pads growing on it. So you got 2 trees that make the sum of the whole tree. So nice, very, very old bark, very old tree. Here's another special tree. This has exposed roots. As you see, some of them fat around as my fingers, some even fatter than my thumb. This one here, I did some candle pruning to balance out the strength. This pad over here is more, obviously, a little denser and stronger than this side. So I cut the candles on this just recently, and if you can see, now we have 2 buds forming over here. We got 2 buds forming here. All the places there's double up budding. So I can increase the ramification on this side to balance out the strength. But this is a real nice special tree. And like I said earlier, these things show a lot better in person. This tree over here, I've had for over 30 years, a black pine that I took from a little tiny tree like this and grown this up. This has one heck of a nabarian root base on this. You can see the size of this. It's a nice tree. I've had it a long time. It's got a nice legacy, a lot of new growth. This is a tree that I have to keep cutting back because it's so vigorous in its growth. But yeah, this tree's got to be 60, 70 plus years old on its own. This tree was an import. There's a new one. This is black pine, exposed root from Japan. It's said to be over 200 years old. I purchased this from Brussels Bonsai Nursery. It's one of the imports some 5 plus years ago. Look at the size of these roots, exposed roots. Did some wiring, preliminary wiring on it. It's going to take a couple of years, but you don't see a tree the size of this magnitude, you know, out there. So one of these years, maybe I'll put it into the national show once it gets a little bit more ramified. I'm letting these areas like this grow out to produce a pad over here. But you can see the preliminary wiring is starting to get some shape of it. Very special tree, very, very old tree. Here's another one that I've had well over 30 years. Black pine in the windswept shape, style. Another really nice tree. Been with me a long time. Imported from Japan. Very healthy. This is one that I have to constantly cut back. Also, you know, try to keep it, maintain its shape. This is another imported black pine. What's nice about this is its size. It's a nice size black pine. Very old. This was imported some 5 years ago from Japan. Here's my little watering system that I have for this. All these trees have done an automatic watering system it's timed, that I've had set up for years now, and it keeps them nice and healthy. But this has a nice nabari, a nice old bark, nice scale to it. You know, love that little tree. It's not so much about having big, large trees, but this is a nice one. Very, very old tree, as you can see by the bark. Here's another one around here. This is exposed root. You see the size of these exposed root and the size of this trunk. This is the one that was imported from Japan some 5+ years ago. The semi-windswept style. Yeah, this thing had barely any needles on it when I received it. You know, from the transporting from Japan. Things really take a beating when you import things from Japan. There's an issue with importing black pines because of diseases and the what do you call it, the insects that they carry. So white pines are not an issue. Here on Long Island, where I am, we've had one of the parkways was all covered with black pines that all died from the pine beetle that bored in and killed the trees. So this is a very old tree. This got to be 80+ years old. You see the size of it's just huge. Nice view you see in here how old this tree is. This is a nice windswept black pine, probably 50+ years old. I'm restyling it. This is going to be eventually broken out pad here and brought down. I'm just letting this thing grow and get a little bit healthier, but this is going to be all broken out from the apex into a whole separate pad coming over here to try to balance it out. But nice nabari, nice scaling bark, very, you know, nice sized tree. Yeah, I'll just hold this to give you a scale of the tree. It's just still tough to see in the video. All right, here's the nice 28 tree Japanese maple grove or / forest on a slab. You know, good healthy condition. Leaves are starting to transition to the darker phase, but really nice looking grove with 28 trees. Here we have a nice juniper, you know, with dead wood. This I picked up this year, so I haven't had it very long. I like the style of it. I like the dead wood. You know, nice little tree, looking good. This is a sweet gum forest that I've had for many years. It has to be over 25 years. We had a very odd winter this year. I leave this guy out, that along with the bald cypress that I own. And just now it's starting to leaf out. In some areas it's still starting to just get green buds. So I'm gonna just see what happens, but these are very old trees. Hopefully it comes around. If not, I'll have to break them out and make them into separate trees. Let's look over here, mostly deciduous trees. This is a Siberian Elm Bars. This was all collected trees. I'm letting it get a little bit densed up because once again, this was because of the odd winter. It's taken a while to start to bud out. Every day there's work to be done, which was nice about the deciduous, pinching off the new growth to maintain the shape. Here we got Japanese black maple. This was just recently repotted, some wiring done on it to restyle the trees. But this thing was very abused for the forest that I put together probably over 20 some odd years ago of little tiny seedlings. So this is going to need many more years to be brought around to be something decent. This is Korean hornbeams. Little forest that I bought from Brussels that was imported. And this is well over 30 some odd years ago. Yeah, this is another abused bonsai. The thing about bonsai, which is tough, if you're working and you're traveling, you know, it's not really a good hobby for you because the things do suffer. They require a lot of attention. But now I'm semi-retired, so I got the time to work on it and keep the collection going. This is a maple forest that I put together last year. Has a nice style to it, really filling up nice. I like the shape. I like the idea that I put some rocks in here to give it that really, like you're out in the woods look. This tree here has some nice nubari, nice root spread on it, you know, for the size of it, but they're coming along really nice. It's a nice Sookie Azalea. It's still on its way, going through the flowering season. One thing about azalea is you want to, when the flowers are starting to be spent, you need to pick them off and then remove the little seed bud that's at the base of the flower, because they will rob the energy from the tree. Yeah, this has a crazy nubari, as you see. Heavy nubari, but a real nice tree. The plans are to build this whole pad out higher to right over here to balance things out. So I won't be removing any of the new growth as it comes out, coming over this way. Here's another Sookie Azalea. The flowers on here are just insane. If you look at this thing here with the exposed roots. But a real nice, imported from Japan. It even has a little tag there, still from Japan. But real nice. Little Sookie Azalea. Here we have Trident Maple, exposed roots, Cascade style. I did, what do you call it, leaf pruning on this. I defoliated the tree, so this is the second flush. This was imported from Japan, probably about five plus years ago. It's been in my collection for over 2 years. A little Cascade Elm that I put together. This is a Trident Maple, root over rock. This thing's having little issues this year, leafing out. Because of some of the, like I said, the odd winter that we had. This is a little nice Trident Maple forest that I put together on this really unique pot, which I love this pot. But it has a nice scale to it. It's a nice little forest. Another elms. There's another nice Shohin Trident Maple. You know, great root base. This was also, I went through and defoliated this, so that's the second flush. This is, once again, a nice hornbeam, green hornbeam that I had for many years. That's just starting to come to its own as far as leafing out. Another really nice azalea. I'll pick this up so you see the scale. Look at the exposed roots on this. And this here just a week ago was solid flowers. This whole thing was solid. Everything here is just covered in flowers. So that's the end of the flush. This is a nice Cascade Crabapple. Great coloring. Love the coloring of these leaves. It's a nice old tree. If you can see in here, it's hard to tell, but it's a hollowed out bark, trunk. The moss kind of took it over, but it's that's a great Cascade Crabapple. Got a Sharps maple, probably a good 20 some plus years old. Nice root base, very dense. In winter it has some really nice ramification. As you can see, you wouldn't have all these amount of foliage if it wasn't a lot of twiggy ramification. This is one of my pride and joys over here. This is my big bald cypress that I put together probably 30 plus years ago. This was just a tree stump. All these branches and all this placement is what I've done all over the years. You know, ramifying the thing, cutting it back, holding it back. Nice taper to it. Huge tree. As you see, this has just been repotted. Got these the pot from down in Florida of a friend of mine, this guy Andy. Just fits the tree perfectly. But a nice tree. People come see the collection, they always gravitate towards this tree because it has, you can see the age to it. But nice old barked out branches. Okay, this is my new project. It's another bald cypress. Look at the root buttress on this, the size of this thing. So, this is a new guy. I have a new leader coming up. I did all wiring on the branches. So, probably in about 4 more years' time, this thing's gonna be a real killer. It's really, really nice tree. It's another elm that I had a long time myself. This is probably good 25, 30 years old, growing on a rock. It looks like a real natural tree. That's what I like about that guy. You know, did some wiring this year. This has been recently repotted. This is a new construction this year. Little Zacovas, elms, in a little crazy oddball pot. It's going under a little bit of stress right now. Here's some of my shohemes. This little beautiful shoheme with the deadwood. Really nice little tiny little tree. Here's a little red pine shoheme. Look how tiny this guy is. Sprawly. This was at the time I got it was like 40 some odd plus years old. That's another little shoheme black pine. This is a black pine root rock planting mounted in this pot. So nice old trees, nice little foliage come along. Trees cascading off, some windswept. This is just starting to come to its own, full wired up, and just starting to grow its new growth. This is a nice black pine, a little egg container. I think this is coheen, the type of black pine. It's a black pine that has very, very short needles. Doing it in a cascade style. I just recently put it in this nice egg, cracked egg pot. Here we have a nice, lush little forest. Put this together at the beginning of this year. Nice sized trees, probably 1/2 inch, some of them are 3/4 caliber trees. In years to come, this will be nice, get nice ramified. This old black pine that I'm restructuring, I took the apex off. You've seen the videos from last year. Here's the new leader from the grove. And then all this is going to be wired out to be the new apex. But this is old. This has been field collected. When I first bought this, field collected this was nothing but a little tiny stick. But you know, 30, 35 years later, the bark is crazy. This is a Cascade Zacova elm. Just repotted in this nice style pot. It's got all new growth popping out everywhere. A little forest here. And let's go over to the maples. These are all imported from Japan, all these trees. This is probably 50, 60 years old. This one was 90 years old. We'll go through that. And then here's a pancake elm. That's a good 40, 50 years old. But let's look at this guy first. What's nice about these maples is that Trident Maples is that every day you come out here and there's something to pinch off to keep the shape. It's as simple as just pinching it off to keep the shape of the tree that you're looking for. Look at the root base on this thing and the thickness of the pot. You know, it's like an optical thing. You look and you says, how can that tree that fat around be grown into a pot so thin? But this thing's really nice and healthy. This is my pride and joy, this monster maple. You see me next to it just to give you a scale. It started off this year a very bad shape, it looked like. Because what was happening here on Long Island, we'd have a day at 60, 70 degrees, then it dropped down to freezing, be down to 30s. So this actually went into fall colors. Most all those leaves, almost all of them have all dropped off so far. But look at the size of this tree. She has huge branches inside. But like I said, this was a 90-year-old Trident Maple. And this guy is really special when you look at the size of the leaves, how small these little Trident Maple leaves are. These are tiny leaves, and how dense this is. In wintertime, when you see the ramification on this, it is very, very impressive. And the other thing, like we showed earlier, this has a pancake base to it, which is really, beautiful and rare to see. A lot of these trees like this do not leave Japan. They keep them in there for the collectors in Japan. Nice trees, great healthy trees now. Here's the koi pond. I have an old Japanese black pine here. Great Nabari. Very old tree that I've had a long time. This is another one that Steel collected. Up by me, right behind me in the woods many years ago. It had no shape to it. Just starting to get things. I've been wiring it up, getting these pads going, ramifying it. But yeah, this will be a nice tree in another 5 years or so. Here's, if you got a pot big enough, this is my black pine that I've been shaping, turning into a bonsai. That side there I'm letting it grow out because it doesn't get the sun. But here, the pads are all formed. I got a nice apex up here. Nice big tree. Just need a big pot to put in there. Let's check out the greenhouse while we're here, where I do my work. Here's all the copper wire for pine trees, the aluminum wire for deciduous trees, the pots, nice different shaped pots. Here's all my soils for azaleas, akadama for my pines, and the sieves, and all my little pot selections. Here's some nice, unique pots. I'm just trying to find the right little black pine for. Here's a really special pot. It has it somewhere on here. I want to show you. Little chocolate imported from Japan. This is a very old, odd pot with frogs on it and lily flowers and lily things. Really great pot. Gotta find something special to put into there. But I don't have to worry about pots. You got all different sizes and shapes. Here's my watering system. It's a little misting watering system in here, and I also have the things for the lines to cut off and have the little individual sprayers. Yeah, here's a nice unique pot that I'll put a nice maple grove into here. It's the Springs project. All right, let's take a final view. Watch your head on the thing. There's a back view of this maple. I don't know how it's going to come out with the camera. It's a little dark in there. But you can see the trees are very healthy. Let's go have a look at these. There's an old Sharps maple. Nice sized tree, great root base. Super dense. If you've seen this, I'll take a video in the winter. This thing here, the density, ramification on this thing is crazy. As you can see, the amount of leaves that it has put out. But this is a real nice Sharps maple. Over here is my pride and joy. This elm is 130 plus years old. It's a Chinese cork bark elm, all padded out. You see the previous videos on this. This thing was almost dead. I'm bringing it back from the dead. You know, a lot of care. It's been repotted. It's beautiful, huge glazed pot, which really shows it off. It's got crazy cork bark. You know, a big fat tree, all the way up through it. But this thing's really coming along. I said in the last video, this thing's got probably a good 3-4 years. But looking at it now, it's probably only got just a few years left to really come back to its own. This pad just needs, I'm going to crest this up a little bit. Did some heavy wiring on this, bringing some of the branches down. Brought this branch around to the front. Growing out this branch, which is fat down here, but it died back. So this thing here is going to grow way out to try to thicken that. And I got one more here that's got to grow and fill into this spot. But as you can see by this tree, this is an impressive tree. Yeah, this was in the Brooklyn Botanical Garden shows years ago, like 25 plus years ago, a long time ago, when my son, who's filming right now, was just a young guy. But she's a really nice tree. This is the Trident Maple forest. This is imported from Japan. I bought it at Brussels Bonsai Nursery 25 plus years ago. Nice old forest. And now, if you notice, I've been heavily fertilized and everything. But nice, dense tree. This has some nice ramification on it when you see this in the winter. Well, you could tell. If you look at a tree and you see thousands and hundreds of thousands of leaves. But here's the maintenance on these things. When you hear about pinching, it's as simple as this. Come out here, you don't need fancy scissors. You don't need to spend a lot of money on scissors and stuff like that on these. Just go around, pinch it back, the new growth to keep the shape. That's how tough it is. So what's nice about deciduous trees, especially Trident maples, because they're such fast growers, it gets you out into nature every day to do a little work on the trees to keep them in shape. Let you wind down the day. So that's the final view of what we call Pine Alley. And here all my pine trees. and my azaleas, my maples forest. But we'll do a video come winter time to show the stuff when it's defoliated. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you. Come back soon.